got a really easy, no fuss lamb stew for you today, utilizing a slow cooker and some really simple basic ingredients that everyone should recognize. Oh, maybe one, but I'm gonna convince you on that one. So let's get into it. So I've got about 1 kilo of lamb here. I like to choose pieces that are secondary cuts. They can take a little bit of a robust, slower, lower, longer cook. So these are some 4/4 chops, but you could use lamb as stewing pieces or lamb offcuts, whatever your butcher does local to you. But pieces with bones tend to be tastier. And we could chop it up, but I really think it's unnecessary because it's actually going to start to fall apart with our low slow cook. Everywhere where you see the sinew, those pieces are just going to fall apart. So that's the first thing we're going to put into our slow cooker. This is also a great recipe to put on before you head out to work for the day. And then by the time you come home, the whole house smells delicious. And it's a really versatile recipe as well. So if you wanted to use it at the end, you wanted to freeze some of it, it freezes really well. If you wanted to put some mashed potato over the top of it, you can make a version of a shepherd's pie. I'm just gonna add some really simple flavors to this stew. I don't want anything to overpower one thing or another because it creates a more versatile base recipe if you wanna do other things with it, or if your family get a little bit bored with leftovers, you can change it each night of the week. So the first flavor, which may or may not interest some of you as a standalone, is anchovies in their oil. So this is actually a naturally occurring umami flavor, so really savory notes. And while the texture may be off-putting to some people, it actually completely disintegrates into the sauce or the gravy of this stew. So we're gonna use all of those. The other simple flavors that we've got in here are some black peppercorns, you should all be familiar with. We've got some bay leaves. These are fresh, so if you can access fresh, great. If not, dried ones are perfectly fine. Put the whole ones in. You can take them out at the end. I don't mind serving it as a family rustic dish and people can pull it out as they please. We've just got some garlic. You can squish them more if you wish. Because this is a slow cook, everything's gonna really relax and sort of soften, and by the time that it's had 6 to 8 hours cooking, those are not gonna have that sharp, bitey garlic taste that you might be adverse to. These next 3 ingredients I imagine you'll have almost always in your fridges at home. We're using carrot, celery and onion, which is the base of most French dishes called a mirepoix. So we've got about a 1 to 1.5 centimeter dice here. That slightly larger shape than a fine dice is actually still going to be visible in the end product of the stew, and the slow cooking actually allows them to retain some of their shape. So all of the onion in. Got all of that celery in. It's about equal portions, about 250 grams, but if you've got 2 carrots that sort of come to 300, that's perfectly acceptable as well. We've got our carrots. Now I haven't peeled those, I've just given them a really good scrub. We've got some nutrient quality in the skin, so we want to maintain that. And then our last vegetable is our potatoes. So we want to, again, sort of dice those to roughly around the same size as our carrot, celery and onion. So again, they will retain some of their shape in the slow cooking. So it'll be cooked all the way through, but you'll still have all of those visible elements. So if we did them too fine a dice, they're actually all gonna disintegrate, which is not what we want. One of the best things about this recipe is that I've used 1 jar of anchovies, 1 packet of French lentils, 1 jar of stock, 1 bottle of wine. So it really is trying to minimize your waste and prepare you for a week ahead of delicious food. So we've got our 1 liter of stock. You could use beef or vegetable with your lamb. Because we've got those anchovies and stock in here, I'm not gonna actually add any salt, and 1 bottle of white wine. So in our slow cooker, that's sort of come up, we've got about another 1 to 2 centimeters above all of our ingredients. Those lentils are gonna soak up a lot, the veggies are gonna soak up a lot, but we know that that's enough liquid to let all of those beautiful things cook. 6 hours on high or 8 to 10 hours on low. So if you've got an 8-hour working day, this is the perfect thing to put on before you go to work. You get home, you've got dinner on the table. It's been torture smelling this for the last 8 hours, so even if you're not going to work, I recommend getting out of the house, otherwise you're going to be really wanting this all day. So I just want to have a quick look, make sure that our meat is, yeah, it's falling off the bone, which is exactly what we want. So we're going to serve up a single, like a family style setting of this, which is going to give us some leftovers. And as I said, you may want to drain it even further and then create sort of a fluffy mash on top and twice cook it for a shepherd's pie style dish. Or you may even want to take out some of the potatoes, save some of the liquid, and create a thicker gravy. The starch in the potatoes will act as your thickener in that sense. Now I'm going to leave the bones in there to serve. I quite like having a pick of them, but it's entirely up to you if you want to pick it off the bones first. So there we have our no fuss slow cooked lamb stew. I think you'll really enjoy it.